Welcome back. This is the second half of our newspaper review. It's all about youth and politics, and we have a question of the day. Let's have that up on screen. Are the youth playing their part in politics? That's a big question right now. Are the youth playing their part in politics? You can send us your feedback on that, your comments, your question on that as well. The WhatsApp number scrolling at the bottom of the screen. You can also get me at I am Jeff Mote or at K24 TV. Let's take a sample of some of those WhatsApp messages just coming in. Justin Gekonga Orina from County 46. In an honest note, the youth are not being given a chance to play a role in politics. Youth shy off from youth. Okay. Let's get another message. I urge the youth to take advantage of technology and to use this to mobilize fellow youth in claiming their space in leadership. Remember, this is what propelled Obama to leadership. Okay? Let's see the next message. Youth are sometimes to blame. Most youth can name the entire Manchester United squad, but cannot name 5 cabinet secretaries. Most youth spend more money in betting and salon than they spend in taxes. We are to blame. Okay? Jeff, this new normal has involved the youth being out of politics in this particular chapter. That's Valerie from Kirogoya. Okay, let's see what that means right then. We'll talk more about that. We have another message coming in on Twitter as well. Bob Windo, the youth themselves depend on political parties of the bigwigs. Hence, this hinders their role and they have to dance to these bigwigs' tunes. Unless they chant their own way, things won't change. On that particular one, let's see who else is coming in on that one. Ayodo saying, no, we are not playing a role. Tunangoja kupewa. Okay, I hear you. Keep those tweets coming in at I am Jeff Mote or at K24 TV. As we talk about that, we've also established the fact that even in spaces where the youth come in, there are very many questions asked. And let's talk about what happens in county assemblies. They've been characterized with a lot of drama, chaos on the floor. And this was actually seen in Homa Bay 2 days ago, where there was dissatisfaction on the clerk right there and the speaker taking sides on that. And most people had asked that, why can't the MCAs sort this out in a dignified manner, debate this on the floor of the House, instead of doing this? Take a look at this video.
Take this one, wait. Take this one.
Of course, with that backdrop, I have to start with June Degwa. I mean, it's the only place I can start with this one, because when people see these scenes in different county assemblies, because it's not unique to what we've seen here, we've seen Kirinyaga have its own fair share as the impeachment battle really heated up right there. We've seen Nairobi County as well have its own, the police had to come in severally on that particular occasion. What really goes wrong there? Because they say, okay, hao ni waheshimiwa, but wataheshimika aje if this is what they are doing inside there?
Well, county assemblies, I will speak with authority so much about Nairobi County Assembly because I have also been privileged to be in the leadership of the House. But the long and short is, whenever maybe a new dispensation comes in, and case in point, Nairobi County Assembly, we had the former majority leader and the former minority leader who swapped places. So one became the majority and minority, who was the minority and majority. At the time, they sat on the board of the assembly, and the board has a clerk, the speaker, and now the 2 members that represent both sides, and 2 representatives from the public. So the issue that started the wrangles in Nairobi is the administration, and I think this is what happens, because I've seen Homa Bay, the clerk also getting involved with the politics of the day. We have a clerk who had not been hired through the right procedures, and so we wanted to get in another new clerk. But then he has his cronies, who is the former majority and the former minority, who had some form of embezzlement of funds in the boards of the county, and of course the fight comes in. At that point, then, we have the new County Government Act which came in, and so the majority and the minority not necessarily sit in the board, but have now members to vie for that particular position. So this is a fight for funds, for facilitation, for money.
So when you
they
see this
want
on the
to
floor of the
control.
House, there's money involved.
There's incentives that they want to control, that they can also use to control the members. Because remember, the board is the one that makes decisions for the members when it comes to either per diems or either trips abroad and stuff like that. And this is what the majority and the minority wanted to control. Together with the clerk, there's monies that are being told are for loans and for car loans and stuff like that. And if they wanted to move this and put it to another section, that happens in the board. So at the board, you find the clerk, the speaker, and these two, majority and minority, are not seeing eye to eye. But I honestly would want to tell these two county assemblies that the administration of the county assembly should be totally separate from the politics of the day. And I feel like that the boards of the county assemblies should be totally governed by people who have no interest have no interest in running the county assemblies. Then we find that there are people who are older. I'm nominated by Jubilee Party. I'm the immediate former majority whip. My party replaced me with an older guy who has been there for 5 or so years. He's about 65, 67 years old. So when you're saying about youth representation in this country, then there are things like that happen that can actually demoralize the youth and county assemblies.
And as you can see, Alois, even for those who are in the space trying to play their part, as June is saying, trying to get this leadership, try to steer it in the right direction, we have political parties that are trying to entrench the status quo and keep it that it's the older generation who's controlling every facet of what's going on. How do the youth bring up this in a way that they actually demand? It's not a favor that June is given the leadership position. She has to take it because it will be ungovernable if they don't. What do they need to do to be more forceful to get what they deserve?
Before I even answer that, I think a lot of the MCAs that we have now have forgotten what their main roles at the county assembly is. They're supposed to be there to legislate, they're supposed to be there to represent the people and oversight. But if you look at what's happening now is all of them went with the idea that, you know what, I'm getting into office. For example, former councillors are now MCAs, they're seeing more money. We have a lot more roles given to MCAs now that, for example, the former councillors didn't have. And I think that lack of knowledge is what is causing that. But I think there are a lot of leaders who are going to be shocked in 2022. I can tell you that there's a serious sense of awakening among young people. And we're bound to see a lot of changes in 2022.
And let me also push back on that, because another argument that usually comes up is for those members of the youth who make it to those positions and are supposed to be a representation of the larger majority of the youth, go there and do things and don't adequately represent us in a proper light. You look at what happened with Babu. We know it's a case still in court with the club drama. Senator Sakaja as well, he apologized, said every man has their flaws and this wasn't his best moment. But these ones usually come out and, they look and say, like, look, we gave Alois this position and look at what he did. That's why we stay here. The youth aren't ready for these particular positions.
No, I think that's just a myth. 75, a few, maybe you've mentioned how many, 2, 3 members of parliament or MCAs out of 75% of the entire population. I think we've not tried enough youth for us to be able to come to such a conclusion.
Let me bring Derek in on this one as well, because as it stands right now, Derek, if you just measure public sentiment on social media, you can see there's a huge hue and cry when it comes to like the COVID scandal. There's a hashtag now, terming COVID millionaires. As you look at how it stands right now, we don't have enough money to get this digital learning moving forward, even if billions of shillings had been appropriated for this particular expense. But we've been made to be keyboard warriors, as they are called, and we'll really vent out on social media, but that's as far as it goes for the youth. How much further can they take these particular problems? Because when you talk to any person, they'll say, I'm jobless, I have a master's, but look at where the money is going. So there's a sense of frustration, but they're not really taking it a step further. What do you think is missing in that final step?
I think the frustration that the youth in this country go through is genuine, and it is legitimate. The problem is that most of the times the youth don't get that chance to be what they should be. I, for one reason or another, believe that we don't have a system in Kenya that inculcates and mentors the youth and prepares them for life, for leadership, and even for participation in social and economic affairs. I think there is something in our system that is not right in bringing the youth, or rather bringing the benefits of the youth to this nation. I will give you an example of David Cameron, the former British Prime Minister. Right from college, somebody saw the potential in him, and they weaned him through the system to be what he eventually became. So was Boris Johnson. Somebody saw him at 18 years when he was a student at Oxford and saw the potential in him. And through the Conservative Party and most parties in Europe and America, they see the potential of a youth at the right time, and they prepare them for the big platform, for the world platform, and for the national platform. And this is something that we lack in Kenya because we don't empower our youths. We don't even give them that loan of 5,000 bob to start a small business that can change him and other youths. We always see the youth as voting machines, as heckling machines, or as people ready to do some hatchet job for an older politician. And this is something that I believe our society needs to work on. As June said, we need a system where, probably through our own societies, that we prepare a young man or a young woman. We have discussed it on this show, that some of us don't even prepare our young boys and girls for life after 18 years old. And that is a problem that we need to tackle. And
Derek,
yes?
Derek, I just want to weigh in on this as well, because even as we speak about this mode of, making sure that they are prepared and they're given what they need to step up to various levels of leadership,
yes.
When you look at the older generation and older politicians, they really weren't given anything. If you take, for example, former PM Raila Odinga, I mean, he paid the ultimate price, was taken in and tortured to get what he wanted. So when we talk about the youth being waited to be given this particular, whether it's a space on the negotiating table or a certain position, isn't that where the problem is? You're waiting to be given instead of going out and getting it yourself?
Jeff, when you go into that big hall and you want to put your case through, somebody will always say that you are overambitious, Jeff. Somebody will just pull the rug under your feet. And this is why Raila Odinga, and give him a lot of credit for this, he fought for his own space. Probably he took the road for doing what he did, but he fought for his space, and that is why he is at that particular place at the moment. Look at the younger Gitobu Imanyara when he was in Ford, Kenya, or look at what Paul Mwite was when he was they were all youthful guys, but we don't see any impact they have created in this country. And thanks to Uhuru Kenyatta, probably he had better networks to be where he is at the moment. And William Ruto fought for his space within KANU. He floored former President Daniel Arap Moi's own relative in Eldoret. And the youth don't get that. Unless somebody holds your hand, Jeff, we really struggle to see our youth getting their rightful place in society. And they really, really struggle. If you look at all the parastatal jobs, you will find a name associated with a former cabinet minister, a former parastatal chief. You don't find a youth like Jeff Mote from the bush in Kawangware coming to be the CEO of a certain company in this country. You will really struggle. I don't want to mention names.
Okay, Derek, let me get a rejoinder. From this side, we have June wants to jump in on that. And what's your rejoinder to that? Because you can hear people saying that they're waiting to be given or to be shown how to get into this particular space, but there's no formula to get there. You have to go out and put your best foot forward, it seems.
First and foremost is we have not satisfied the basics of the youth. Yeah, let's just begin from youth are trying to just put a meal on their table or just to have a job. We have seen so many youth standing on the roadside, lifting up placards to say that kindly give me a job. So before we get into politics, and why my colleague was saying that it is easy for politicians to use the youth to go out and demonstrate, it's because they have nothing in their pocket. And I think that is what I was saying earlier, that we need to first, the Maslow's laws of power. Let's start with the basics. Do we have food on the table? Can we, so that we can tell, because not everyone wants to join politics, yeah? But because we have shown that politicians are high and mighty, or are the ones who drive the big cars and everyone, so then it gets to be attractive, yeah? We need to first do the basics. Let us organize our youth matters, food on the table. Let us do more agriculture. Let us get them in spaces where we feel like, let us broaden the spaces. That is in arts, it's in music, it's in agriculture, it's in trade, it's in all those things. Then we reduce the number of the ones who actually want to engage in politics. Then we'll sieve that and have the really genuine ones who want to do politics.
Okay. And very quickly, even as we get to the tail end of this particular conversation, with what we've seen with Nairobi County so far, June, we had police coming in there beating some MCAs, and it's been alleged that, you know, there's a huge divide between MCAs for the governor and MCAs for NMS and Major General Badi on this one. Does NMS manage to deliver, or will we have 2 more years of what we are seeing in the county assembly and a Major General who doesn't deliver what he promised Nairobi residents?
Really, Jeff, haven't you seen what NMS has done in the last 100 days that they were given by the president?
Yes. But the chaos still remains. We've seen that as well.
The chaos in the county assembly might remain and will remain, but I am glad that the president actually had this deed of transfer done the 4 functions to the national government, because we have seen what NMS can be able to do. We continue to support General Badi. I am one of those MCAs who was and still is, from the very beginning of these 4 transferred functions to be given to support General Badi, because it is more than just the politicking of the assembly, and more to do with the development and just making Nairobi, I mean, Nairobi is a gateway to Africa, really. We cannot have potholes left, right and center. We cannot have lighting, something as simple as lighting, and yet we house KPLC. So those are the things that General Badi, and I know he also has another target of the next 100 days. We'll see 24 hospitals built in 24 wards in this. So then that reduces the number of people who are referred to Kenyatta National Hospital, and let's take we take the basics back to the people. So we are in full support of NMS. Of course, it has wrangles, people who do not want it to work, but I can promise you we are 100% behind the president, and we will make it work.
Okay, we'll hold you to that, of course, as we get to the tail end of Major Badi and what he'll deliver.
Major Badi will deliver. I can tell you that for free.
Okay, fantastic stuff on that. Alois, I want to come to you as well, because even as we wind up, for a viewer who's watching and is like, okay, fine, I can hear what these people are saying, it makes sense, I want to start playing a part in politics and try and shape this particular discussion instead of sitting and complaining on hashtags on Twitter and Facebook. Where do they start? Because it's a really huge canvas, this one. What's the most immediate place for one to start in this journey?
I think in this journey is to, first of all, get in touch with leaders like myself. We have, for example, the organization that I run, Vijana Mkeni, has pages across all platforms. Personally, I'm also working right now on an initiative that is going to train youth across the country on the soft skills program. So just like my colleague was talking about, when you're done with high school, you have 2 shirts, for example. How do you still look presentable in these 2 shirts? How do you manage your stress? So I think there's a lot of leaders like myself who are doing a lot of these initiatives on the ground. So I think for young people, it's to start reaching out to people like me, but also for leaders out there, young leaders, I would urge them to go back to the ground, use technology, like we said, and start educating young people. Quickly, let me just touch on Nairobi before we conclude. General Badi has done a great job so far. We welcome that move as young people, especially in Nairobi. However, I also must say that it violates the spirit of the constitution that we really fought hard for and was promulgated in 2010, because the idea was to bring resources to the counties. So that the man on the ground, and we have all counties being equitable in terms of resources and in terms of development. So as much as we welcome General Badi's move, we hope that this is not a precedent being set for other counties. But I mean, we welcome development.
Okay, June, I know you have a response to that as well.
Yeah. But I'd just like to correct my colleague a bit. When Major General Badi didn't just bring himself, that's number one. When we voted in Nairobi, we voted in for Mike Mbuvi Sonko, who later became the governor of Nairobi, and he willingly signed off 4 functions, and we have seen him in the media begging the president to at least take some functions from him because they were a bit overwhelming, and that is why it was in the interest of the president to give it to somebody who can come and just give this development to Nairobi. I also am hoping maybe it's not a precedent, because people are saying that we are militarizing it, but this was the only ripping off the band-aid and letting it heal by itself quickly as possible before the next dispensation. Yeah, so that is what exactly happened. He didn't come and just take over. Yes, there were things that were not going right, and even the governor himself said, and that is why he signed off the 4 functions. Okay. Yes.
Okay, Derek, let me have you in on this one very quickly. Derek, what is your parting shot this morning, youth and politics as it stands, and of course, how MCAs have been conducting their business? What's your parting shot with regards to that?
First of all, Jeff, the MCAs from Nairobi to Mombasa to Homa Bay to wherever, they have been pathetic. They are not fit for purpose at all. If you saw the fight in Homa Bay the other day, where somebody had his clothes stripped off. Secondly, I would like to see a more vibrant youth, more empowered youth in our country. I really appreciate June is a youthful leader. Alois is doing a great job with his initiative. But I would like, and I hope this is the opinion of many other people outside this room, that we should have a youth that is empowered to make decisions, not a youth that will be forced to carry banners, twigs, and sing songs for our leaders in the streets. And finally, Jeff, I would also wish that we are talking about the youth. Somebody should tell us about what plans our system or our government or the deep state has for our youth in the next 5 years, apart from telling them to go and vote for a particular politician.
Okay. Thank you so much for that. That's why we'll wind up this particular conversation. But we do have your feedback coming in. Joe Monene, youth have deeper problems than politics right now. The biggest problem is unemployment, and most youth don't want to be involved in the shenanigans and intimidation that comes with this particular politics. So it's just better to hustle. That's Joe Monene. Mungai is saying the youth are always seen as a problem that needs to be fixed, which is wrong. We are the present and the future of this nation. Let's be treated as such. We also have some messages from WhatsApp. Let's have that up on screen. A majority of the youth in this country are trying to make ends meet. They can easily be used by politicians as their puppets, since no one wants an empty stomach at the end of the day. Hence, old politicians have their way through the youth. Okay, and the economic question really big right there. Another one, hello, I'm Moses, Captain, Trans Nzoia Youth Organizing Secretary. On issues of youth and politics, I request youth to come up together, speak with one voice and work together. That's the best way to move forward. We hear you on that, Moses. We as youth, being in many in today's society, have been usually used by the politicians each and every time, especially changing other people's names on social media or tainting other people's names on social media. I don't know how we will change, but let's wait and see. Okay, and the final WhatsApp message. This is Capello Emmanuel, 22 years old, from West Pokot County. We have youth groups that play a watchdog role in our ward level, exposing all manner of misappropriation of ward funds. We are also doing civic education to the public. Good stuff, Capello Emmanuel. I think that's really where you should start. From where you are, come together and make sure those resources are accountable in your home area. Great work right there, Capello, and I think very many other people should replicate that right there. Thank you so much for making time to be on the show this morning. Alois Otieno, thank you so much. June Dego, as always, many thanks for being on the show. Derek Otieno, of course, social distancing on this one, but on the show as well. Thank you so much for making time today. Asante sana. Don't forget, you can get yourself a copy of Your People Daily. It's only 10 shillings. You get it straight to your phone, and the number that you need, *550 *4#. Once again, the number is *550 *4#. Dial that number, get yourself a copy of Your PD. It's brought to you by the People Daily and Safaricom. Short break at this side. It's a Hangout Friday. Interactive comes on. The DJ is in the house as well, so the show is going to be lit. This is K24 This Morning.